You know what? I'm happy. You know what? I'm bringing the energy. You know what? I'm juiced. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live. Maybe not live. You know the deal by now. Third and Atlantic with your host, Joel. That's me. Joel, you know. The one that's always right. Top of the leaderboard, top of the charts, number one in your heart.
Why'd you sound like Dr. Hori? The one that you can trust.
Character still.
Yeah, no, he is a lot. No,
You're trying to ruin my flow. You know why you're trying to ruin my flow? Because we just winning. And some guy, Ed, how you doing?
Very well. I'm very well to see that the Steelers are being exposed for what they really are.
I mean, 2 losses is not too bad, but you know why they really did it again? They do it whenever you pick them, they lose. 2 for 2.
Oh, really? No, yes.
2
I picked them the 2 weeks before then.
Well.
And I'm 1 for 2. I'm 1 for 2 with the Steelers.
We've had enough of you. They're like, we've had enough of you. Stop poisoning us with your loser mentality.
I'm not poisoning. The Steelers are poisoning themselves.
Loser lifestyle. But guess what happened? Anyway, with the crowd on my head, you might as well edit that one in. You know, nice little one there. Because again,
your Steelers won again, didn't they? Yeah, your Steelers won again.
I don't care about the Steelers. I don't care about the Steelers. I care about me. I care about me right now. I care about me because I'm clearing up
that and keep that for ages.
I am clearing up by what was it? Sunday early games. I was gone. I was
to be fair, by the early games, I was like, I've had enough of football for this weekend. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to bed.
It was such a beautiful sight. You know,
but
on my list.
It ended 7-9. It was a one game. It was a one game weekend. It was a one game weekend.
They made it respectable. They made it respectable in the end. But those early games, I was just ticking through my list. Yes. All I needed was 1 or 2 to pull through, and I secured the week. And I got the one in the next round, and then that's it. So I was like, hey, it is what it is.
And do you know what the key game at the end turned out to be?
Say it.
Bills Steelers.
There we go.
And again, credit to us. That was my last pick, and I had to pick that one. And it shows.
To pick Bills.
Huh?
I told you to pick Bills. I told you.
Okay.
I told you.
Okay.
No, okay. I told you. Now's your time to go back to the footage.
Yes, go back to the footage. I can carry on what I said. I said before I would have felt 70% sure that the Steelers would win. Then going up to it, I felt 60% sure that the Steelers were going to win. At the end of the day, 60 is still more than 40. And I will take the Steelers.
I told you take the Bills.
Sarcastically, you told me take the Bills.
But what were the words that came out?
What were the words that came out? If you really felt that way, you would have picked them before. If you really felt that way.
If I really felt the other way, I would have taken the Steelers earlier. They are my team.
If you really felt the Bills, then you would have picked them.
I've been on the Bills the whole year. You were the one that went high on the Bills.
Then why did you pick them?
You went on that.
Then why did you
Because you gave them to me. So I don't need to pick them.
I didn't give them to you. They were last. That was the last pick. You could have picked them ahead. You could have chosen them.
Because they were the last pick, Ed, you could have picked the Bills. But I'm
not talking about me. You're chatting like you're some sort of Joel Adamus that you can see everything that's going to happen. If you saw this happening, why didn't you pick the Bills?
I mean, week after week, you see I'm winning. So it looks like I am.
So, okay, it looks
avoid
like the question. We're going to do the Joel thing again. We're going to do the Joel thing again. Avoid the question.
Because why would I pick them when I can pick a team that I want and I can still get them thinking that they will win? So that's 2 for the price of 1.
Neither one of our number 8 picks went through. You picked the 49ers against Washington. And I picked the Steelers over the Bills. Again, it's getting really hard to predict these games near the bottom.
Well,
your 2 losses. So overall in the week, it was you won 9-7. Your picks went 6-2. My picks went 5-3. Your 2 losses were taking the Saints over the Eagles. Which
let's talk about that. What is going? I think this proves, without a shadow of a doubt, this proves that the team were playing. The team don't like wins. They don't like wins. Because how could you play that badly the whole year? Your backup comes in and suddenly you're defeating one of the best teams in the league. It makes no sense.
I think also it's now the Taysom Hill thing. Now that it's got a bit more tape, it's a bit like, okay, how's he performing under the pressure? And it looks like the Saints can't wait for Drew Brees to get back.
No, I mean, Sean Payton has only lost 2 games now without Drew Brees when Drew Brees gets injured. So it's one of those things. Obviously, he's going to lose at some point. But with his backup QBs, he's been able to do miracles with a playbook and week preparation. He's just been able to out scheme everyone when he has his backups in. Whether it's week 1 of the backup or week 4, like last season, went 4 unbeaten. Then Drew Brees came back in and they finished out the season. So it's just one of those things. That one I'll chalk up. That one I'll chalk up if the Saints like weren't playing well, but the Eagles were killing them. Like if the Saints, if it was just a bad game on both sides and then the Eagles won, fair play. But the Eagles controlled that almost from start to finish. The Saints almost made a late run and came back, but that was hard.
It does feel that if your receivers definitely aren't up to scratch or your receiving corps isn't as good as it needs to be, you definitely need a strong running game, whether it's your running back or your QB, which is something that the Eagles have now made use of with Jalen Hurts being able to run the ball, and it's what the Ravens have been doing past couple of years because their receivers aren't necessarily that good outside of Marquise Brown, who can get a big play now and then. But it seems that it was a better fit for the Eagles just to have a bit more of a mobile quarterback who could run the ball. Maybe they didn't put Carson Wentz in enough situations to run the ball, but it's tough on Carson Wentz. What's his future?
When you pay a guy $100 million, you don't really want him running the ball. Like you don't.
His extension hasn't even kicked in yet, which is mad.
So he can't get traded. Who's going to take that up? No one. He can't get cut because that's just a ridiculous amount of dead money. So what happens?
It may just have to be I don't remember the last time this happened in an NBA context, but it may just have to be Al Horford where you trade him for
peanuts.
Not necessarily for peanuts, but you may have to give up assets in order to trade him. But again, the NFL salary cap just confuses me, the way dead money works, and if you trade players and how much of the dead money still comes onto your cap and how much goes onto the other teams, that sort of stuff still confuses me. But
I think the dead money is your guarantees. So obviously you have a set amount each year that is guaranteed throughout the contract because NBA contracts are fully guaranteed. Whereas NFL contracts are partly guaranteed, and then you have to like pretty much play. So you get some for how many games you play. You get incentives on obviously your milestones and all that. But the way the NFL is set up is you're going to get injured, so they want that money for that game that you're injured for. They don't want to give that to you, so that's the contract.
Yeah, so I get all that, but it's more when a player gets traded, how does that dead cap work?
Yeah, I think it's the same.
If it gets
it's the same guaranteed money per year, but then obviously they knock.
No, but I mean, how does it, if you look from a team perspective, does that dead cap still stay on their salary, or does it get moved to the other team's salary? Because I remember reading it a little while back when Jags were thinking about trading Nick Foles, how the cap would work. Because I think some of it also counts towards the Jags cap.
Yeah, so some like for Jalen's one. For Ramsey's one, it was when he got traded over. If they agreed to pay him more than a certain amount, they take all the money. So all the money is now on their books, and then the Jags are free. Whereas if they paid him like league minimum, let's say, if they paid him, I mean, I think it was $6 million was the line. So as long as they paid him under $6 million, the Jags have to pay him all that $6 million, and it counts towards their cap.
But anywho, the whole Carson Wentz situation now, it's going to be interesting to see what Philly do moving forward. And I remember a couple of weeks we were talking about how it seems a lot of teams have already solidified their QB positions. It seems now a lot more of the teams seem unsure of what they're doing at QB moving forward. So you went 6-2, I went 5-3. And the reason I'm not mad at it is because my 3 losses were my 6th, 7th, and 8th pick. So I just can't seem to predict those really tough matchups. You know what? I'm not mad at my losses. I picked the Texans over the Bears. I felt with Deshaun Watson, although he has been depleted of weapons, he can still cause some of that Bears defense some issues. And I didn't feel that the Bears offense would have much against the Titans defense. That was completely wrong.
Another one,
Broncos and the Panthers. I had the Panthers. I felt the Panthers all year have been a lot more of a solid team. I didn't really trust the Broncos too much. Drew Lock had a decent game. Beat them.
I can't vote you on that one because I was gonna. If I had the choice, I'd pick Panthers as well. So
I mean, that's why I'm not too mad. I know you're now ahead of me. I think it's 4-1.
4-1, yeah.
I think you're 4-1 ahead, and there's 3 weeks left. 15, 16, 17, 18. many weeks are left? 15, 16, 17.
17.
Yep, 3 weeks. So you're 4-1. Best I can do is draw it up before we get to the playoffs.
But now let's put in another solid week of work, boys. We're going head to head. What's going on?
Right. So week 15, that was the first down. We'll move on to second down where we make our picks. So week 15 picks. I'll quickly go over the schedule. And with this week, we've got some Saturday night games, Joel. And it's just annoying that the games are on the same time as, well, the games are on a Saturday with the college football conference games. I think some Premier League games as well. But we've got some Saturday games, which means we could watch them.
Yeah. Premier League gets turfed. They're on at like decent times as well. Like, It's not terrible. The Panthers game is the worst one at like 1:15 a.m. But other than that, the rest aren't too bad at all.
So going over the schedule, on Thursday night football, we've got Chargers at the Raiders, and then Saturday night we've got Bills at the Broncos, and then Panthers at the Packers. And then for your Sunday games, we have got early kickoffs: Jags Ravens, 49ers Cowboys, Seahawks Washington, Bears Vikings, Pats Dolphins, Bucks Falcons, Lions Titans, Texans Colts. And then late game slate, we've got Eagles Cards, Jets Rams, Chiefs Saints. Sunday night football, we've got Browns at Giants. And then Monday night football, we've got Steelers at the Bengals.
Big rivalry. Big rivalry.
Steelers are lucky they don't have to see Joe Burrows, but we'll get into that later. So
it's up to me, the first pick. Obviously, that makes it
yes.
That makes it a bit techie, as I have run that down. The first game I'm going to pick is I'm going to get the MVP of the league, Aaron Rodgers, up against the Panthers.
Oh, wow, nice. Okay.
Yeah. I've missed the Packers week after week after week. This time, let's hope I don't jinx them. And
I was just going to say, you're absolutely going to jinx them.
But it is what it is. Future MVP this year, Aaron Rodgers, killing the game. I think he's been the most consistent, even in his losses. Like, his losses have been... No, I think there was one bad one, but it weren't, like, terrible for him. But obviously they've come through since that, and they're killing the game. And I think they're on a ridiculous hot streak right now. And hopefully that rides into the playoffs.
I really want to see Aaron Rodgers win another chip. Mainly just to shut up Skip Bayless.
Always.
I just really want to see him with another chip, just so he can. A lot of, I think, in the NFL and even in the NBA as well, as soon as you get that second title, you're looked at it completely different. Because like 1 year, people could always say, "Oh, it's a fluke," whatever. And a few elite players do have one chip, but two getting multiple ones is quite different, especially because they're two different time periods, two different times of his life, earlier in career, later in his career. Also for my boy Mercedes Lewis there.
And two really solidifies you kind of Hall of Fame wise as well.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers didn't need to be Hall of Fame certified, but it's now more for the GOAT conversation. You can sort of like, what? Aaron Rodgers can fit there, and maybe in the Peyton Manning conversation, because Peyton Manning got two, albeit two different franchises.
And then the literally last year of his career coming in, snuck in there.
So yeah, okay. First pick Packers, solid.
Yep.
With my first pick, I'm mainly looking at two different matchups, and I am going to take. It'll kill me if this doesn't go through. No, yeah, I'm going to go for the safer. I'm going to take the Rams over the Jets.
Oh my God. Okay, right. I've got to jump in here. There is absolutely no way that the Rams should lose this game at all. Because what you'd normally think was, obviously, Greg Williams got fired. So you know what it is? Fired coach, bounce back the next week. Yeah, not this time. Nah, they were horrific. They were even worse than they were with him. So it makes no sense now. He's obviously went at home, smiling, watching them get absolutely battered. And I just don't see how they're going to come back and go up against the Rams and then suddenly be better. I just don't see it.
And the Rams need the win as well. It's not like they can afford to be complacent. Although the Seahawks do have a tough matchup this week against Washington, they have to win to maintain that first week bye in the playoffs. First week home game in the playoffs. I mean, come on, Rams. Like, again, if you've been following throughout the start, I've been anti-Rams because of their first round draft pick that the Jags own. But
now you're actively going against yourself, just letting you know you're screwing you over your own future.
It's like, as I said to you, it's going to be anywhere between 25 and 32. So it is what it is. And their defense is elite. They've got an amazing defense. Something that was done really well in Jacksonville in terms of the pass coverage and the pass rush working in tandem, getting those coverage sacks and getting the QB to throw really quickly when they're under pressure, providing opportunities for the secondary to make plays. Rams over the Jets. Yeah, my first pick.
Oh, fair enough. And just like that, quickly, I'm going to move on to my next pick, in which we are going to right the ship here.
It's got to be.
This got to be. The Steelers have won the last 10 against the Bengals. Yeah, the last 10 against the Bengals. That's including playoff games. So even though it was maybe 1 or 2 at max, but this is the lot. There's no okay, now if this thing happens here, if this happens here, right? If the Steelers lose this game here, now we're panicking.
What time is that? It's Monday Night Football. Oh, I've got to work on the Tuesday. I really.
So obviously,
obviously
we've clinched playoffs, right? Obviously, we've clinched playoffs. This game clinches the division if it hasn't already, due to losses and all the other conditions.
Are you confirming the pick, by the way? You haven't confirmed the pick yet.
Yeah, confirming Steelers.
Okay,
confirming Steelers Bengals. So if this one don't happen here, we might as well. We should forfeit our playoff spot. That's what it should be.
I think Mike Tomlin must never have had 3 losses in a row. Like, I don't.
I'm sure, no, he has. We've had some bad years.
3 losses in a row.
Some bad starts. We've had some bad starts this season. It's never been maybe this late, or it might be the latest ones when we've already clinched it and we're just riding in. But if this would be the worst loss, because obviously the Washington is Washington. They were a bad team, but they still had some good players. This one right here, they haven't won this season. It would be like losing to the Jets almost. Since Burrow went down. But yeah.
Floor's mine, right?
The floor is yours.
Okay, so I've got a couple of questions for you. And please try to be as honest as you can. I don't want no bullshit answers.
Okay.
Thoughts on last week's game?
Honestly, we went up against a good team that caught us in a slump. No, don't do that. Because earlier, we faced them earlier this year, did we not? Did we?
I don't think you did. They're not in your division. Oh, are they? Was it one of those weird schedules where you played them twice, and I was really confused why you played them twice?
Yeah, I believe so.
You should know. Because
we won that.
That's your team.
Yeah, we won that one.
Okay.
All right.
So Karen, yeah, go.
Yeah. So then there's that. And they caught us. They were on their way up as we were trying to recover. We were bouncing back off a loss and off a tough period. I'm not gonna lie. So here's what it is. They're a good team. However, what has made it worse is the inability for these last weeks to catch the ball has been a problem, like majorly. Obviously, it loses you games, but some of the drops don't make sense at all. And then if right now we're not running the ball, and we can't run the ball, so
you never played the Bills.
We're not. It felt like we did.
Maybe Titans. That may be in what you were referring to.
Yeah, fair enough. Either way, we caught them on a down. They caught us on a downswing, on their upswing, and that's it. That's about it.
So the real question I want to ask after.
Yep.
Because when I initially asked you this a couple of weeks ago, you gave me a bullshit answer.
Yeah.
How would you feel about the Steelers now going into the playoffs, and how would they perform in the playoffs?
I'm giving you the same answer.
Your fate.
No, that one I'm giving you the same. That one has never changed. I've never been a jump up. I'm
not asking you to jump up. I'm just asking you what you think.
Listen to the thing. I've been a fan of this league way too long way too long to get caught up in that. There are unbeaten teams that get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. Like, I'm not falling for that until they show me something. Until they show me that when it comes to playoff football, because this is not how our team normally is constructed. We're normally a run-heavy team, and kill games like that.
I'm just asking you as your brethren how you think the Steelers will do in the playoffs, and you're giving me some bullshit responses.
Okay,
You're not Bill Belichick. Just give me your response.
Mate, until...
Oh, my gosh.
I can only give you a response of what I know, right? What I know.
Is it the fact that it's been recorded? Do you want me to turn off the recording and you tell me what you really think?
When the Steelers can run the ball, I'm comfortable.
So it's James.
Until then, I'm just... Every time that ball gets thrown, I'm just hoping and praying that it gets caught. And until we start catching balls, I can't predict anything.
So, when we were talking about the Steelers at the start of the year, especially when we were talking about, I remember the Titans Steelers game and the Ravens Steelers game, which went down to the wire.
Yep.
Something that I said and you agreed with, positives of the Steelers were, even then, I felt the Steelers had a decent run blocking line.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that they did well. And now it seems maybe I didn't watch enough Steelers games to know that now it's been a steady decline or what's completely happened to that offensive line. And you mentioned before how the offensive line, we obviously believe, is the biggest part of the run game.
Yep. So what happened was Pouncey was on the COVID list for a bit. Obviously, when you got a center that is pretty much telling you your blocking scheme, that does a lot for the run game. Obviously injuries come in and that so forth, and that is that. But then they was refusing to run.
Okay,
for a
that's
bit.
Different then. Okay.
So they wouldn't call any runs, now the question has become whether Ben is checking out of runs when he sees the defense, or whether they're just not calling them at all. So there's that, but then if you're only running 5 times in a game, you're not doing enough to set up your run for later.
Yeah.
Running something, you just have to keep going until it bursts through. Like the Titans will tell you, the first quarter may not be great. Obviously, when you go Derek Henry running, it's a bit different. But the first quarter might not be great.
Yeah.
But by the end, those runs are breaking. So it's no matter what it is.
So that was the first part. And then the second part of the offense that we really liked was what the Steelers receivers can do as physical receivers in the blocking game, but also run after the catch. And my question to you was, they look really good. As soon as they got the ball in their hands, they can make plays.
Yeah.
But then the question is, they've got no one to take the top off. And can Big Ben really throw the top off a defense? And it doesn't seem like he can. And that's something that we both said earlier on, that I never really understood Big Ben in the MVP conversation, even at the start of the season, apart from the record side. I was a bit meh. But it seems now that is catching up to their offense, their inability to throw the ball downfield.
Here's what I don't get. Obviously, you had that question, but I, at the time, he was still doing big throws. Like it was still throwing it downfield. It weren't clicking as it was clicking, but Chase was up and under on a lot of them, getting very long touchdowns. The amount of time the ball was in the air, the actual yardage that the ball was in the air for, is up for debate, but he was at least running a long way. You get what I mean? So it was overall, it was a long play. So obviously, the league gets your tape and they come and adapt. That's what it is. Obviously, the other side get paid too. But first of all, before we think of yak yards, before we think about big plays, let's just catch the ball. Let's do that, please, from me.
And last question I'm going to ask before we move on to another topic, because we always just fight over the Steelers.
You're going to ask Juju, aren't you? let me do that. Okay, let me. Here's what I don't understand. Yeah, everyone is hyping on that. He should have done it before the game. He's been doing it before the game almost every time.
And after the game, no?
And after, exactly. So he's been doing TikToks.
Why didn't he do it last couple of weeks after the game?
Because he was crying in the corner. If you're the one dropping balls, right? Say we're doing it, we're dancing, doing all that fun stuff. Cool, that's great, as long as we're winning. As soon as we start losing, all that slows down, right? But now, if you receivers, TikTok champions, are the reason we're not winning now, you're dropping the ball, I better not see you on TikTok. Now it's a problem. Now we start smashing phones.
That's a good point. I'm going to be following Juju, see if he's going to post any shit. Follow him and then unfollow him straight after the game because I don't give a shit about him. That's a bit harsh, but whatever.
And the next win, before you'll see it again. Before there'll be a TikTok, after there'll be a TikTok.
If he does another TikTok dance on the Bengals logo, it's at the Bengals. If he does know that
He has to do it at the Bengals.
And they take another L. Oh my god! That also, like, everyone and their grandma knows it's so disrespectful to do anything of that nature on another team's logo. We all know that. He's clout chasing. Someone, I think I saw one of the analysts say, maybe that's just who he is. Maybe that's just he wants to be that sort of. I mean, he
was the first player to run. He was like the first player to run around with a YouTube channel and actually collect stuff.
Not from that side, but from more like the pest side. For example, in football, you'll have someone like old school Matteo Flamini, who is just always up your ass as a midfielder, or like that annoying player, a shit stirrer, or is that what he's trying to be? If that's what he's trying to be, cool, fine. It's quite different to the image he had when he first came to the league. Lovable, jolly, Juju, like dancing and doing all stuff. But now I know it's a bit more. People don't see it in the same light as well. Like there's a bit of self-awareness.
He's not a kid anymore. Before it was happy-go-lucky kid. He's not a kid in the league. In league terms, he's not a kid anymore. He's the veteran of that receiving corps. So the question I was going to ask sort of relates to Juju, but the question I was initially going to ask, the final question was, how do the Steelers receivers rank in terms of who's first, second, and third option? I know that's such a trivial question because obviously it depends on what happens, but if Big Ben needs a big play, who would he go to first? Was it be Chase, then Juju, then Washington? How would the pecking order go? So at one point, because it's been weird, because at one point it was Chase. The next part it was every important down went to Juju, and then the next one it wasn't. I wouldn't say every down, but the crucial ones. He was looking at Washington. Deontay Johnson was sprinkled around, during the game, but you could always tell about when it's we need this third down, or we need this, we need that, who he's going to most. So at one point it was Chase. Then he started getting doubled, or the way they set up the defense was so that it couldn't be Chase.
Right.
So before it was Juju. So now he brought it back to Juju. Obviously Juju is, I think, easier to cover than most people give credit for. As we saw last year, when teams focus on him, they shut him down, like for the whole year. So it is what it is. But I think Juju works best when there's other people around him doing well. So if if everyone else is going downfield the whole game, Juju will then suddenly, because Juju will come alive, and then suddenly he becomes your most important read. But I think it's between Chase and Juju for the most part. Deontay sprinkles in some big catches every now and then. Washington gets a crucial third down every now and then, but he hasn't like been the main focus in the matchup since. But if you saw at the beginning of the year, every game it was a different receiver.
Okay.
Since then, it looks like it's got to their head. But
again, I think I made the reference to it's sort of like the New York receivers in a playoff game after they went off to Miami. That's just sort of the reference I made in my head that reminded me of. But
people are getting onto Juju. He's been doing it the whole year. That's why the Cowboys were beefing him, because he literally did it before the game, and they said every time. So when he got the touchdown, they were all watching him. That's why he didn't get anywhere near the logo.
The fact that he's been doing it the whole year doesn't make it any better. Like, he shouldn't have been doing it the whole year if he's not expecting that smoke to come back to him. Exactly. Yeah, it's all nice when you're winning, but you better expect the smoke to be coming towards you when you're losing.
But now that they're losing, you can't use it as that's why, because when they were winning.
No, I would never say that's why. But I'm like, what the fuck are you doing that for? Like, everyone's gonna chat shit about you if you do it. But I guess he doesn't care. It's like
them views, bro. That's what he wants. The more we're chatting about him, that's what he's having. He's getting them views.
It's a new time. Obviously, that is important and it's fair to be important because they have financial gain for having more views, etc. I can't knock him for doing that. But yeah. Anyway, enough about Steelers. We're always fucking talking about the Steelers. So that's your second pick. My second pick, which I thought was the pick you were going to make, is I'm taking Baltimore over the Jags. Come on. Seriously? Come on.
Yeah. I mean, but the Bengals, but the Jags. It is what it is. It is what it is.
I don't want to talk too much about the Jags. It is Minshew started. Mike Lennon got benched for Minshew, which is all you need to know. Ravens came off that big win against the Browns. Now, obviously, we're in the UK, so we're not watching this live unless you're really committed or like have got lack of responsibilities.
Every now and then.
We try to sometimes watch some late games, but it's rough on these streets. Golly.
I'll tell you, I've missed a load of second quarters, a load of second halves, just trying to be up and then not making it.
If it was the other way around, like it will be early morning and like you'll miss the first half, but then you get to watch the second half. Nice, but it's just always the other way around.
Yeah. It's always that rough. When there's a boring first quarter, you're done. There's no way. There's no chance.
Can't pull yourself to watch 3 more of that. So we just know the result as Ravens beating the Browns. We didn't have the whole drama of the build up. And then when I was trying to watch it again and tried to what I was just so confused, even watching the highlights over again and just reading the articles. Saying all that, I'm still taking the Ravens to beat the Jags. We do talk a lot about emotional wins and how teams may not live up to the same emotion the week after. But I don't think that should be too much of a problem against this Jags, who I think will struggle to stop the run.
Yeah. I mean, what can you say? Well, I mean, what happened last week with the Jags? Like,
played shit, innit? They got smacked up by Derrick Henry. He had another 200 yards, 4 touchdown games. He's had 4 of those in his career, and half of them have come against the Jags. So, very nice, very nice.
Right, it's just like it is what it is. Like you can't. There's just nothing. There's not much analysis to it.
And I mentioned YouTube before. It just hates me that he's a North Florida kid that he's doing this. But
you guys could have had him, but you didn't want to.
No, I don't think we could have. But where did he go in that?
Didn't want him enough. You could always trade up. Commodities are tradable.
It's also one of those where like the question about the running back in the draft.
Yeah. Oh, the Alabama running back as well.
Oh, he was a second rounder. He was the second. I always thought he was a first rounder. He was a second rounder.
So you could have got him.
Oops. Yikes! Who did we pick that year? Who did Jacksonville pick that? Oh, okay. Oh shit.
You didn't pick Jalen. So
no. So Jalen was the 5th pick, which is fine. But then our second round.
Did you pick Fournette?
No, Fournette was the year after.
Okay. You got Henry. You got Fournette because of Henry, because you missed Henry.
No, because we picked Miles Jack, and Miles Jack was a player that was really needed, and it was a really good value pick.
And he's still playing for you?
Yeah, he's our captain. Yeah, and it was a very high value pick because he had injury concerns coming in, and to be fair, he's had a couple injuries, but he's been all right. He's been all right, but definitely no Derrick Henry. Interestingly enough, 2 picks after Derrick Henry went Michael Thomas to the Saints. I also actually want to check which running backs were taken ahead of him in that draft that year.
In the second round.
Just out of curiosity. He was only actually the second running back taken in that year's draft. Zeke went 4th, and then Derrick Henry was a second rounder. Only two running backs.
That was that was when they were heavy into devaluing the running back position though. Like you can't take Zeke at 4. That was I remember that couple years, like around that, they were devaluing the running back heavy, and they were saying that there's no point even picking Zeke at 4 because you should go and get him. You should get him in the second round and blah blah blah. Yeah, fair enough.
Just a little bit of random.
Moving swiftly on.
I always like doing this like perspective thing on draft players, like 5-6 years after the fact. How would the draft shape up? But anywho, as you were saying, your 3rd pick.
My 3rd pick has to be the Buccaneers at the Falcons.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What, you're shocked at that?
I thought there were a couple more that was surefire, but okay. Fair.
Yeah, the Falcons losing is surefire. What do you mean?
Oh, they're a bit booky. Yeah, they are a bit booky,
but still. There is, I think there's only one more. Well, 3. I met 3 more surefire ones, but at some point, and they will get taken in a row of 4, maybe. Okay, I'm bugging. There's a lot more. There's a lot more surefire ones actually. I mean, It is what it is.
Yeah.
The Bucks are the Bucks. The Bucks are the Bucks. The Falcons are the Falcons. I normally let them fall long enough to get them, and if they win, I'm lucky. But I normally think they're going to lose. But Brady should win this one.
Yeah. Yeah. How did they do last week? So the Bucks played.
Want to buy, right?
No, they beat the Vikings, which standard result.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And the Falcons last week, I think one of us had them and they didn't perform. Oh, the Falcons. Yes.
They got killed. They got killed against the Chargers. They absolutely got killed against the Chargers.
So I picked the Chargers as well because I was hoping 1 week the Chargers will have a win when I picked them. That was my 1 week, which doesn't bode well for the Falcons if the Chargers do beat you. You know, the forever cursed franchise.
Yeah.
Now, with my third pick, so I think there's a couple I could take, but I've got questions about some of the matchups. So the team I will take is I'm going to take the Bills over the Broncos.
Yeah, that was what I was looking at.
Yeah, I think all the other fixtures I've got at least one question about how I think they will do, and I do think the Bills are more consistent.
Oh, so they're consistent now. Funny.
I just said they're consistent.
Funny.
Yeah. Big win against the Steelers last week, considering the Steelers' record. But you want to talk about the Bills?
They're a great team. They're a great team. Great quarterback. A quarterback that they are comparing to one Big Ben, but that's what it is. Are we moving on? Is that your analysis?
I just standard matchup. I'm not. It could be a surprise for the Broncos, but I'm not expecting too much. Drew Lock had a good game last week, but I still don't really rate him. And the Broncos, depending on, we've spoken about this on previous weeks. After the first 2 potential rookie QBs next year, how much is the drop off? Kyle Trask didn't have a great game in the SEC. Didn't have a great game last week against the SEC rivals in LSU. Yeah, they might just stick it out with Drew Lock, it seems, but I'm not really big on him.
But in that same vein, I'm going with that standard matchup. The Raiders should beat the Chargers. Same kind of thing. Chargers had a big win last week, but they're out. The Raiders are still fighting for playoffs and positioning and all that stuff. So they should come in hard and wipe them, to be all the way honest.
Okay, interesting. I had them a little bit lower. I've severely soured on the Raiders past 2 or 3 weeks. I felt that they were a Titans potential team in terms of Titans last year, in terms of doing really well against the big teams and not doing so well against the more inferior opposition and getting those grindy, gritty wins. Past couple of weeks, they've had some really poor losses. I was a bit high on Derek Carr compared to other people. I've been really disappointed past couple of weeks, not showing that consistency that you would like. And he's sort of reminding me of a rich man's Blake Bortles, which, take it as your Blake Bortles did have some nice moments, but it's those killer games that really just, that killed him.
Yeah, they killed him.
So that was your 4th pick. With my 4th pick, I am going to take the Tennessee Titans over the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, rough. Rough. Yeah, the Titans are going to run all over them. Let's be real. It's going to take Stafford, a madman Stafford. He's going to have to turn into like a Pat Mahomes and like scoring 2 plays every drive. Otherwise, the Titans are just going to run out the clock all day. Adrian Peterson, obviously, is still going to do his thing. But, yes, no hope for that, really, in my head.
So, Lions, I mean, last week you can't really say too much because they did play against the Packers. Week before it was the Bears. They won that matchup, but again, it's just I don't know what to make of those middle to low teams. Those Bears, those Lions, those Chargers. They can be very confusing because one week they can show out. I just feel a lot more confident in the Titans' ability to run the ball down the Lions' throat.
Yep.
Derrick Henry coming off a massive game, 200 yards, 4 TDs. I feel confident in that matchup. I should feel confident in that matchup.
They're just going to keep him running into this week. And yeah,
running and running and running and running.
My pick.
Yes.
I'm going to go. Yeah, another team against another team that is out. They're just finishing off the season, going through the motions, whereas one team is, again, fighting for positioning in the playoffs. So I'm going to go with the Colts over the Texans. The Colts, I'm actually high on them. They're a very complete team. They have had some bad times kind of chaining together wins, as in chaining together good performances, but week after week. But they should beat the Texans. The Texans don't have anything to play for. You're going in there fighting for your life, your playoff life, really, trying to get a better position because everyone is still, around that mark. So they can really separate themselves with wins like this.
AFC South matchup. So, whenever it's a divisional matchup, it's very feisty. I just think now Deshaun Watson is just sick and tired of losing. There was those images about 2 or 3 weeks ago where he was just sat on the bench, just towel over his head like, fuck me, like just another loss. Remind me a little bit of when Jalen Ramsey was at the Jags' rookie year. He started crying, I think, the penultimate game of the season. He was just so upset, just losing all the time. And I do think Deshaun Watson's got a lot of that internal pride. We know Dabo Swinney compared him to MJ.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
So, yeah, I have potentially a little bit of faith just in Deshaun Watson, and the Colts can sometimes pull out these really random losses out of their arse, out of nowhere, and look a shell of themselves. They've got one of the best defenses in the league, but can sometimes just throw an absolute dud. And speaking of someone who can throw duds, Rivers is also prone to that as well. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that divisional matchup. Now, with my 5th pick, I'm surprised it's actually dropped this far low considering
you're gonna
the
go
matchup.
Can I guess?
Go on.
Gonna go Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why it dropped so far. Like, maybe if they had Drew Brees in a dome, recipe for success. It's not. It's Patrick Mahomes coming off a tough game last week, 3 interception games against Miami. Against, a really good Saints defense. The Saints defense could cause them some issues, especially with what they have in the secondary. Being able to potentially match up the receivers could be a nice little tasty matchup. Tyreek Hill versus Lattimore. We know Lattimore likes those bigger receivers, i.e. the Mike Evans, who he always seems to do well against. Let's see how he does against Tyreek Hill. Be really fun to watch. But I'm still taking the Chiefs over the Saints.
I believe it dropped just because, we're seeing how late we can get it. But the Chiefs so far, is literally all they've got to do is win out, and they've looked up the 1 seed. They're the only ones who will have a bye in the AFC because that's the way the players are set up this year. So literally all they have to do is just maintain that. The Saints are in, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Pardon?
Are the Saints in?
They're thereabouts. I think they're a couple. If they're not, they're a couple games out because I think Tampa don't have that many wins.
So all the Chiefs have to do is just win out. Don't be silly. Play a good half of football as they've shown. They could just play. Yeah, the Saints are in. They've clinched the playoffs. So really, all it is maintaining. Both teams obviously want the buys. So this is where it can trip up. This is where they could trip each other up. But the Chiefs have shown week after week, all they have to do is play a good half of football, sometimes a good quarter, and they can win the match.
Joe,
My pick.
your sixth pick.
I am going to go with the Browns at the Giants. Thank you. So this is where you make your money. You start cleaning up these weird ones that people don't want. You try and predict them. What the Giants obviously had a big win for them with their backup 2 weeks ago, and then they came in last week and stunk up the joint. And the Browns played a great game against the Ravens and lost. So I think they're going to try and course correct again, try and sneak about the way into the playoffs, and with a win against the Giants. And obviously, you said they've had one of the easiest run-ins to coming to the end, so they should get the playoffs, but they need to win these matchups like this.
So I was just having a double check on Daniel Jones's status for the game. 4 hours ago, post on NFL.com and SB Nation. Giants QB Daniel Jones has second injury, is uncertain for Sunday's game. Tough loss, tough break for the Giants.
They thought they could throw Colt McCoy in last week, and that didn't work.
So I had been past couple of weeks, I had been higher. The past 3 or 4 weeks, I said that I felt the Giants would win this division. It looks like it's Washington's to lose now. Which, who would have thought you'd say that at the start of the year? And I mean, I love those sort of stories where a team out of completely nowhere would win a division. Although this NFC East is just a disgrace. But anyway, Giants, I don't know if they could potentially cause the Browns some issues. I know Baker Mayfield's been playing well. Whatever. I'm not getting too hyped. Whatever, he's playing well. He's throwing touchdowns. What he's supposed to be doing. Cool. Giants could cause an upset, maybe.
I mean, you're forgetting Chubb and Kareem Hunt would just clean up.
Yeah.
Now Jarvis should eat in the Giants secondary ain't saying too much, so Jarvis should eat. Then we'll see where it goes.
This is what I think it may potentially be down to that Giants pass rush. See what Leonard Williams can do against that pass rush. So that was your sixth pick.
Yeah.
My sixth pick, I'm taking a team still in playoff contention in the hunt. I'm taking the Vikings over the Bears.
No way did I. Okay. Wow, I can't believe I actually got this game. All right, nice.
What do you mean?
You're taking the Vikings?
Yeah, of course.
Cool.
Why?
No, there was one game that I thought you were definitely going to go to next.
Really?
And now it's mine. Thank you for that.
Cool. I think I may know which one you're thinking of, but yeah. So I'm taking this. Vikings still have something to fight for. Don't trust their QB. Last week, who did they play last week? They lost to the Bucks. The Bears did win against the Texans. I'm still not buying the Bears. I'm taking the Vikings over the Bears. I don't trust what the Bears can do. The run defense will be key for the Bears to stop the Vikings, but I have more faith in the Vikings.
The Bears beat the Texans, so let's hope they're riding that high all the way in to the playoffs. It seems, there's still a chance. There's still a chance for them. They can still make the playoffs. Are they going to make the playoffs? Of course not. But there is still a chance that they can make the playoffs.
Oh, to be fair, they got the same record as the Vikings. They've got the same record as the Vikings. Both 6-7. Well, I'm not buying that.
So I'm going to go for another team that you are very surprised.
Vikings,
or going to go for the matchup that you are very surprised that the one team still has a chance. I'm going Seahawks. There is no chance that I wanted the Washington football team against the Seahawks. The Seahawks obviously bouncing up against another big win last week, and they are hopefully they stop their up and down game, more down this year than up, and they ride it on through.
I don't mind that.
Washington somehow still have a chance at the playoffs.
I do not mind that. Washington, they could potentially have a above 500 record, which would be really impressive and really cool. I don't know if I'm just thinking of emotion now. I just really want to see Washington do well. Seahawks have been a bit underwhelming part. They've seemed to have. We've spoken about this previously in terms of peak performance for athletes or peak performances as a team.
Yeah,
they're sloping a little bit, are they?
The Seahawks, they were sloping. Obviously, they did their where did they get to? Like 5-0. They got to like what 7-0, 5-0.
There, I don't think it was that much. I
Uh,
definitely don't think it was that
yeah.
much.
So yeah, but then after whenever their unbeaten streak ended, they took a deep dive. But they were lucky enough to do it like at the point in the season where you can take your dive and then come back up the other end and then ride that second wave into the playoffs. And hopefully that's what they're doing if you're a Seahawks fan.
So, I mean, it does help when you do play the Jets just the week before, just a little bit of a confidence booster. But
yeah, to get some things together, you get to work on a few things like practice, but they actually put an effort into it, so it seems. So you can at least try.
I mean, when we're making these sort of later picks, we sort of have a feeling who we know is going to win anyway, but it's just which teams we feel more confident with compared to other matchups. So that was your seventh or sixth pick? Sixth pick. No, seventh pick.
It means you're on 7.
Yes. And I am going to take... So we've got 3 games left. So the 3 games left are 49ers at Cowboys, Pats at Dolphins, and Eagles at Cards. I'm going to take another team still in playoff contention who need, and I mean need, this win. I'm taking the Cards over the Eagles.
Oh, definitely thought you were going the other way. I thought you were setting up to go the other way. Oh, and I was so happy.
So now we've got teams that need to make the playoffs and can realistically make the playoffs. The Eagles, yes, they had a great win last week against the Saints. Can they keep it up again this week? What would the Cards have prepared for the Eagles? I'm hoping the Cards can light up the Eagles defense, but I am worried a little bit for Kyler Murray against Fletcher Cox and that defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still taking, because the Cards have something to play for. Play for.
The Eagles have something to play for, and now that they've got their guy now apparently, so they can come back and play it on through. Hopefully, maybe we'll see. But yeah, I wasn't gonna pick the Eagles, and I was hoping I didn't get that game. I wasn't gonna pick the Eagles, but then the Cards. When I've picked them, I don't think they've won. I think they've lost more than they've won after I've picked them. I actually want them to go deep in. So I didn't want to jinx them. Let them ride it out. If it came down to it, I would have picked the Cards, but I didn't want to pick that matchup just because of that.
2 more games left.
And with that, I'm going to go against greater judgment, and I'm going to pick the Dolphins at the Patriots. The Dolphins at home to the Patriots. As we all know, as the NFL will never let us forget, Bill Belichick destroys rookie QBs.
Yeah.
And that's just how it goes. But I think that the Miami defense can do enough this time, because it's not like the Patriots are firing. So, especially last week, the Miami defense put on a ridiculous performance. So they should be able to beat Bill at his own game and shut down the offense just enough to let their offense do maybe a little something, kick enough field goals to win the matchup.
This is a fun matchup for the NFL nerds because I went through exactly the same thinking process. Oh shit, it's Bill Belichick versus a rookie QB.
Yeah.
Oh shit, the Dolphins defense is really, really good. And when I managed to watch the Pats game last week, and my God, did that offense look terrible. It looks it's so hard to watch. So hard to watch the offense play. Yeah, my gosh. And it just does not make me feel confident of what the Pats have to offer. But then when you look deeper into it, it's also the Brian Flores versus Bill Belichick matchup. Brian Flores coming from that Bill Belichick coaching tree.
You know exactly how that's going to end.
And you would think that Bill Belichick would win that matchup, but Brian Flores should know the answers to the test. No, he's seen all the answers. Brian Flores has seen all
Bills has been a smart guy. He knows it. He knows that these guys are going to go and get jobs, and he never gives them all the answers because he could always beat them.
Brian Flores knows the answers to the test, unless Bill Belichick has changed the questions.
Bill Belichick gave him a terrible test, and I know you're going to pat yourself on the back, but no. Bill
But you hate it. That was good. That was good. And I, at the end of it, thinking that, I did end up wanting the Dolphins. That was who I had as my pick, the Dolphins. But I'm not mad at having the Pats, although the offense is so bad. It's
absolutely terrible. It's so bad. I don't remember the last time they scored a TD.
What was that?
Special teams has scored more recently than the offense, and then they kick a lot of field goals.
Last thing I was going to say about Bill Belichick, whilst we're on this topic, I was listening to one of my favorite NFL talking heads is Rich Eisen. I really rate his content and what he does in the show. And he's a big Jets fan. He talks a lot about the Jets and their organization, etc., just how pitiful it is. And he was talking about how final game of the season, it's Jets-Pats.
Yikes.
And there could be a situation where if the Jets win that, they miss out on the number 1 pick and get the second pick.
Oh, no.
Meaning the Jags can take Trevor Lawrence ahead. Wouldn't that be a storyline if there's something happens where the Jets win that game?
And then the Jags
get the first pick, get Trevor Lawrence, and he just becomes amazing. Gets like 3 rings, and then Jets pick up Justin Fields, which is fair, but he becomes a bust. I don't hope he becomes a bust because I know he will end up coming to Jacksonville. He ends up becoming a bust and know what Trevor Lawrence was. Oh my, what a storyline. That is Hollywood-esque. Oh, but that's just some food for thought until we get to week 17 if that situation does happen.
That's a horrible thought because there's no way. I actually want Fields to do better than Lawrence. I've rated Fields as a better quarterback than Lawrence. Like I said, when we were watching their, high school thing, I thought, I didn't know why Fields was getting the disrespect he got, even though he did beat out Trevor Lawrence for the number 1 QB at the time. So it made no sense to me. And then the situations in college when he got there and how they were screwing him over. So it just, I want him to come in and be the better QB, but I obviously want Lawrence to do well. But Fields is my guy. I don't get how he gets disrespected like this.
So I wanted to look at sort of Jags fans' reactions, what they thought about Justin Fields, and listening to what some fans think, especially those on social media who are very vocal about their opinions, can sometimes be a not a good thing to do. Obviously, talking to an Arsenal fan, so we don't need to get into that.
I'm not vocal about my opinion. So
I'm not saying you. I'm just saying Arsenal fans in general.
Yeah. I'm a Steelers fan at this point,
Oh, so you're not backing your boys then? You just
who's boys?
You're not backing your football boys. You're just backing the Steelers.
When they want to back me, I can back them.
Anyway, and the conversation in the comment section was more like, when have you ever seen a good QB coming out of Ohio State? They just don't have good QBs. So like he can't be that good.
Rough
which
day.
I mean, I don't really understand this concept because I mean, how many good QBs were there at Auburn after Cam Newton or like
Bama?
It doesn't make sense.
Bama
You can always
before these two.
you can always find you can always find QBs now. I mean, LSU after Joe Burrow. I'm no college
Tebow.
football.
Tebow was Florida. Sorry,
I'm no college football connoisseur, but I don't know many other LSU QBs aside from Joe Burrows. Anyway,
was it Jamarcus Russell? Wasn't he one?
Yeah, he was great. Yeah, but I just found it was a stupid argument, and there's also he's got just like so much talent around him. Like, of course he's going to be so good, and his opposition isn't even that good, so like he can't be that good. He can look good against shit opposition, and he's not that good.
I mean, he's going to the Jets. What do you mean?
Anyway, so yeah, that was just what I wanted to mention about the Jets Packers matchup coming up week 17. Now, with the final picks, we've got 49ers Cowboys. I've already written it down because I know who my pick is going to be.
You're going to pick the 49ers.
This is sort of where I've been underperforming in terms of my later round picks, which a little bit in my mind was telling me to pick the other team because I wanted to pick this team, but I'm taking the 49ers over the Cowboys. I
know, that's going to ruin your day. But you know what the fun thing is? The The Cowboys might win this game.
Yeah, they could, and that's why we left it so late. Like, I can see a possibility where the Cowboys do win it, but
Andy Dalton's back, if I'm not mistaken.
so the 49ers lost to Washington last week, which is respectable, I guess. In this time, it's respectable. And the Cowboys, they won last week as well. They beat a shit team. Who did they beat? They beat the Bengals. So I'm not reading too much into the Cowboys win. Although I was bigging up the Bengals against the Steelers, but that is a divisional game, so I guess different circumstances. I just feel more confident in a bit more of a proven commodity in the 49ers over the Cowboys.
Zeke had 48 yards last week against the Bengals. Zeke had 12 attempts and 48 yards against the Bengals. And you think, as a team that got scored 30 points, you'd think he'd get a lot more yards. Andy Dalton threw for 185. They must have been playing with some real short fields, some really, really short fields.
I'm really fascinated what the Cowboys will do in their future moving forward. What happens with the QB situation? What happens with Zeke? What happens with that offensive line who's just been in tatters?
That's got to go. That's got to go. That's got to refuse playing.
What's happened with their wide receiver? They've got some great talent wide receivers, but like it's one of those where you don't have a foundation. You've got this extra bits and bobs, but your foundation isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Tight ends, I mean, it's whatever. They don't have anyone really to know on their defense. Their defensive line underperforming. DeMarcus Lawrence and his contract not performing at standards. Do you know they got Alden Smith back who's done well, but he literally just started playing again this year. Linebackers severely underperformed to expectations. 2 Pro Bowl linebackers, but haven't been performing. Secondary, it's always been spoken about as their biggest weakness. What do the Cowboys do moving forward is so interesting, that whole dynamic. But I've had enough of mainstream media talking about the Cowboys every single week.
Yeah, that's how Cowboys talk. There we done it.
Anyway, those are our Week 15 picks. I'm just going to go over them. So, Joel, you have the Packers over the Panthers, the Raiders over the Chargers.
Crown him.
The Seahawks over Washington.
Crown him.
Dolphins over the Pats.
And
the
again,
Bucks over the Falcons.
Yes, sir.
Colts over the Texans. And Browns over the Giants. And finally, Monday Night Football, Steelers over the Bengals. I have got the Bills over the Broncos. Ravens over the Jags. 49ers over the Cowboys. Vikings over the Bears. Titans over the Lions. Cards over the Eagles. Rams over the Jets. And finally, Chiefs over the New Orleans Saints.
Nola. Yes, sir. Let us know who you think is going to win. Obviously, it's going to be me again. Decent picks. So how do you feel, Ed?
I don't know. I don't fucking know anymore. I can't believe I fucking lost 4 weeks out of 5. Gosh. I don't know.
You should be used to it.
Yeah.
Some of us do this football thing, you know?
Oh my gosh, here we go.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Say what you want. The proof is in the pudding.
It's not because you've been sick. It's just because I've been shit. All right? I've been beating myself.
Two things can be true. 2 things can be true.
One thing can be true as well.
Yeah, but so can 2. Anyway, on to third down. Who are you? Ed, go on.
Yes, sir. So, who are you is where me and Joel make some comparisons from someone in the NFL world to someone in the sports world. It's a fun little thing that we do where we don't tell each other who we're picking, and we try to guess who, by the descriptions, who we think the other person is. This week, Joel, I'm going to be comparing a Hall of Fame QB to someone in world football. Now, I will start. The main reason I'm making this comparison is not necessarily because of their play. It's more because of their storyline. So both of these players had to take a journey to get to the top. So the NFL player is Kurt Warner. Now, a lot of us know a bit of the story about Kurt Warner. And actually, if I just say Kurt Warner, I think maybe a couple of names might automatically pop up in your head. And we'll get the names right. So Kurt Warner started off, he was in the Green Bay Packers for a little while in their practice squad, I believe. And then he went to the Iowa Barnstormers. And then famously, he was in Amsterdam for the Amsterdam Admirals. And then finally, he got his break at St. Louis for the Rams. He was in his late 20s when he first got his big break. And he also managed to win a Super Bowl with the Rams. I believe that was the greatest show on turf. He also got Super Bowl MVP and also won MVP of the league twice in 99 and 2001. He also made it to the playoffs again with the Cardinals later on in his career, obviously against your Steelers, and that big pick. Did you see, actually, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, James Harrison and Kyle Warner on the call, and they were talking about it. Did you see it?
No.
Yeah, so that's a nice little clip. Why do I call George Harrison? James Harrison was talking a bit about that and what was going through his mind for that play. Anyway, that being said, so he started off his career late 20s, and he managed to achieve those outstanding individual stats as well, and had team success at the end of his career. So there's always that famous story of him being a bagpacker, and then finally making it to the NFL. So that is my NFL player. Does this storyline remind you of anyone in world football?
Surely it should be Bring Your Vodka and Salami, Jamie Vardy.
Has to be the factory worker turned global superstar, Jamie Vardy. So Jamie Vardy also had his big break in his late 20s. When he went to the Premier League in his late 20s, he was at Fleetwood Town. Again, stories of him being a bagpacker during his career earlier on, whilst trying to make it in football, and finally got a break at Leicester when Leicester made it in the Premier League, and it took Leicester 2 seasons in the Premier League to win the title, which is massive for them. Arguably the biggest win in sports history.
It's the biggest upset.
Let's say modern sports history.
No, it is the biggest upset in sports history.
From the bookies. And he's also now having a bit of individual success, being a couple team of the seasons in the Premier League. I would like to see him in the Champions League do some bits, but it would have to require Leicester being in the top 4, which is tricky. So that was my comparison. If you're a fan of Kurt Warner, maybe check out Jamie. If you're a fan of Jamie Vardy, maybe check out Kurt Warner and his story and how he made it to the NFL. So that is my Who Are You?
Yes. So onto mine.
Okay.
I'd say if we compare the two, world football again. We're going to go with 2 older gentlemen, still playing, still in their careers. However, every time someone brings them up, people are surprised that they are still playing and still in their career. They're still very productive, both of them. Still very productive in their old age. Bounced around, journeyman.
Okay, I got one already. Okay, yeah.
So for the NFL, we're going with, obviously, Frank Gore, who plans on playing until his son enters the league and wants to play with his son. Play with,
in the same field, I guess.
Yeah. So there's that.
Where's his son right now, actually?
He's at college. He just scored a return and a receiving TD in the same game. I believe it's Purdue. Maybe not.
Southern Miss.
Southern Miss. There we go. One of them weird kind of ones.
Southern Miss, yeah.
Yeah. So then the person I'm comparing him to has not said about wanting to play with their son. However, if you think about personalities, they're stark opposites. Whereas Frank Gore is normally quiet, the quiet professional. This other person is loud and out there. Still once again bounced around the league. Frank Gore's gone from team to team to team. This person's gone from team to team, league to league. And Ed, the person is?
Yeah, Zlatan. It's definitely Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Zlatan.
Initially, when you were sort of describing it, I saw where you were going with it. But the big differentiator is the personality bit, where the Zlatan personality takes over, I feel, sometimes his on-field performances, because everyone does refer to him as one of those where people just refer to him as his first name and just make those Chuck Norris-esque jokes about Zlatan. I definitely get the longevity in moving around different teams. What sort of success? Frank Gore, he's made it to Super Bowl with the 49ers, was it?
Yeah, his Frank Gore's success is
Team success.
longevity records.
Yeah.
But his success is longevity records. He's not, because he's bounced around from team to team. He bounces around a lot of the lower poorer teams. So his team success is very tapered, if that.
Yeah. So
he's had playoff appearances.
The big knock on Zlatan's career is that he never won the Champions League, and he also bounced back and forth for teams trying to win the Champions League. He was at Inter Milan, and then he got swapped with cash and swap deal for Eto'o. Eto'o went to Inter Milan. Ibra went to Barcelona. So the year before Barcelona won it, that year then Inter won it, and then the year after, and then when Ibrahimovic left Barcelona then won it. So he just always was a year out. So if you look at it from a Champions League perspective, I guess I can see that in terms of Zlatan never necessarily winning or getting that far. And Frank Gore, at least he made it to the Super Bowl. I don't think Zlatan's ever made the Champions League final. But yeah, okay, nice. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, definitely longevity and still being at the top of their game. Even right now, Frank Gore can still make plays and Zlatan's still scoring in the Serie A somehow. Okay, nice.
He scores everywhere he goes. That's why he left the MLS, because his career wasn't done.
Yeah, it was a weird one. Like that's happened a couple times.
I think he's the only one that actually went over there just for the profile, just to kind of get a new fan base, kind of get them, because obviously people thought his career was going to be over, and then he came to the Prem after that, if I'm not mistaken.
So yeah, I think that's correct. I can't remember. Did he go Man United before or after?
Obviously backwards of how people do it.
But I think there's been about 3 or 4 players who've made the MLS move, then thought, "No, fuck it, I'm going to go back to Europe." So Jermaine Defoe, although a lot of people assumed he was going to retire there, came back to Sunderland. Who's another one I had in my head?
Frank.
No, Frank retired at New York.
Nah, he retired at City. He retired at City. They just let you. They just let you feel. No, they just let you feel like, because they didn't want to ruin his legacy. So we all know that. We know exactly what happened there.
He Robbie Keane. Robbie Keane was the other one who went to the MLS and then came back to the Premier League. I forgot. Yeah, I was going to say it would have been really fun if Zlatan went to, like, I guess LA is big and his personality being big, brash, out there. I guess you could sort of say LA, but LA is a bit more chilled, cold, relaxed. I would have loved to have seen Zlatan in somewhere like Atlanta. I think that would have been so sick. Zlatan in that community, in that Georgian community, would have been so fun. Him and that team representing, because he loves the red and black AC Milan. He's been there again. I think that would have been super fun. Zlatan with Atlanta, and that big, bold Atlanta mentality and attitude. I think that would have been really fun. But yeah, I'm just thinking about Zlatan in the MLS, where it could have been fun for him to go to, like which city?
Because at the time, Atlanta weren't popping.
I'd
say his only other option was New York at the time.
Atlanta are popping. Atlanta, not Atlanta. Yeah. Atlanta.
They're popping now. They weren't popping then.
I thought they were. I think Atlanta, when they came in, had a lot of hype, because they play at the Falcons, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
But you forget how long ago this was. They went to MLS. Like it was years.
Yeah. It was years. If we're thinking of cities, I would love to have seen Zlatan in that.
If we think of cities, but then the team weren't big enough to hold it. Or they literally just started, if they even started, because I think the only ones that could have held him were LA, Galaxy in particular, and the New York Red Bulls.
And if we then go to the Messi, Ronaldo, if they were to let's add this, Messi and Ronaldo, if they were to go to the MLS, which American cities would they succeed in? Which one would you reckon?
Ronaldo would only go to LA.
I see that. Yeah. Messi's definitely Miami. Messi's Miami.
With Bex.
Yeah. Obviously being a massive South American Latin community, Hispanic community as well. Messi, Argentinian boy, grew up in Spain. And I think their attitudes are matched, like Miami, bit chilled, bit flash can be at times. Messi, chilled, quiet, but bit flash. He's there. Yeah, Ronaldo in LA does feel like it would be a superstar, Ronaldo looks like he'll be in Hollywood.
Yeah, Ronaldo's there to be Hollywood. He's there to do his LeBron James Space Jam situation, be in a couple movies, start a production company, that kind of thing.
Would that be kind of sick if that did both happen? That Ronaldo went to one of the LA franchises and Messi went to Miami, and somehow they met in like the MLS finals or something. That'd be kind of cool, though.
Yeah,
No?
I think that would be the MLS's biggest shot at going global
Yeah,
and being taken not
being
seriously,
taken
but
seriously. No, I
I mean,
was gonna say at least being taken seriously, because after that whole, did you see the penalty shootout that happened with Orlando a couple of weeks back? Something like a goalkeeper. It was a whole mess up. The referees got. I don't know if the referees got it right. I think they got it completely wrong. They booked a goalkeeper for jumping off his line in the penalty shootout. It was his second booking, so he got sent off.
He got sent off.
So in the middle of the shootout, the goalkeeper got sent off, and then Loki, the team tried to be like, "Oh, we're just going to sub one down a reserve goalkeeper." Then the referees was like, "Oh shit, no, you can't do that." Yeah, and then and then at one point at the end, the outfield player made a save, and he thought he'd won the shootout, but no, they still had to take another penalty. It was the whole mind fucking just so badly run.
Yeah, but I only heard up to the he saved. I saw the save penalty, and then this whole celebration. Then obviously it cuts there. I didn't think there was any more to the story. But they said
that did not do well for the reputation. Yeah, they did win. They did win, but it didn't do well for that reputation. But anywho, let us know who you think the Frank Gore of World Sport is, and who you think the Kurt Warner. I was going to say Fred Warner. Yeah. The Kurt Warner of World Sport is.
Yes, sir. So that's it. We come to the end. We all know I'm going to win again.
Shut up, dickhead.
I'm going to stop saying it because I'm going to let it ride because, the humble thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, you'll be humble. You're 4-1 up. You want to be humble.
That's how you keep winning, That's how you keep winning. Every week as it comes, you win with grace. You lose with grace. I forgot
you're in this juju flex. You're in this juju flex.
No, I'm not on the juju flex. That's why I'm being humble for a sec. Yeah. That's Fed in Atlantic.
Well, quick question, actually, curiosity.
Yeah.
What would you, if someone was to offer you a first round pick for Juju, you would take that, right?
First round pick for Juju?
Yeah, you would take that.
What year are we talking? This year?
Oh, this year. Yeah, this year. Let's say it's somewhere between, let's say 25th pick.
No, because we're going to get up there anyway.
What do you mean we get up there?
We're picking around there, yeah.
Let's say if it was...
Give us a top 3 so we can get Chase Young like last year. Yeah. I'll be on that. I'll be 10. On that.
Let's say pick number 10. You can get Jamar Chase if he falls that far. Or you can get another position. So you don't see there's like
I'm trying to think who would I pick then?
What position do you need help in?
We could always use help at safety.
I don't know.
That's strong.
The safeties.
We could always use another corner.
Would you take a QB? Oh, that's a good question. Would you trade Juju for one of the QBs outside the top 3? So outside of Lawrence, Fields, Lance, and what's the geezer?
No,
Wilson?
that's top 3. No, you can't be
Zach Wilson.
Yeah. So out of the top 6 running backs, you can't take any of them. Yeah, pick a running back. No, we can't do that.
QB's different. So would you take Zach Wilson over Juju if that was a swap, so to speak? This is completely theoretically. I just randomly chatting.
I think I'll take top 3. Would I take Zach? And I haven't seen too much of his tape.
Okay. Any of the other QBs? Okay.
I would take the only one I'd want. Obviously, there's no way we're getting
Fields or Lawrence.
No, there's no way we're getting Lawrence. I would take Fields. Uh-huh. Obviously, because I'm high on Fields, but I think there is a way in my head that I could see Fields dropping. There's always that one that just drops randomly and no one sees and no one knows why. I don't think it will happen, but if it happens to any of the QBs, I could see it happening. The biggest shock would be it happens to Fields, because it won't happen to Trevor. Yeah, it won't happen to Trevor. Trevor's going first pick, but I can see a life in which the second and third team don't pick up Fields, and then he just drops from then on. No one knows why.
What's more likely? Fields to go first or Fields to go outside the top 2?
First. Fields to go first is more likely.
Then to go outside the top 2?
Oh, outside the top 2?
I don't know. I don't. Maybe that's just such a stupid question because you have no idea how the draft will play out. But
I don't think it should. I think the answer should be: it is more likely that Fields goes number 1 then he goes number 4. Right? Yeah. However,
I think more likely 4 than 1. I don't think he'll go number 1. I don't think anyone will have a number 1.
no, because I think second is where he's going to go second or third. You get what I mean? But if he doesn't go second or third, I feel like he won't go fourth. He'll drop completely. I think it's one of them because people will be wondering why.
The only way he doesn't go second is if the Bengals have that pick, or the Jags are just, there's something wrong with the Jags.
Or being the Jags. Jags are being the Jags, yeah.
There's something maybe deeper, but yeah. Anyway, enough of that.
Right. Yes, sir. We've come to the end of the week.
Week 15 soon come. Results.
We shall be watching the games eagerly. If I win this, I solidify.
Yeah, you'll have the number 1 pick going into the playoffs.
I solidify the number 1 pick in the playoffs for both conferences. Both conferences, big things on the line. Big things.
That's massive. That is massive.
So for that, we bid you adieu.
Peace.
Adios. Goodbye. And we outie.